your boots and dance around. A little mud never hurt a soul. It's how we grow, yeah, it's how we roll.
The sun's hiding, but it ain't gone. Keep your heart turned on, turned on.
Keep smiling, keep shining when the storm tries to steal your song. Keep smiling, keep climbing till the dark clouds that don't belong. Oh, misery won't stay where joy is strong. Oh, misery won't stay where joy is strong.
Creeping, saying you can't win.
Just shout louder, drown them out again. Turn your doubts into your fire. Every stumble builds something higher. When shadows linger, light your spark. Don't let them pull you into the dark. Keep smiling, keep shining when the storm tries to steal your song. Keep smiling, keep climbing till the dark clouds that don't belong. Oh, misery won't stay where joy is strong. Oh, misery won't stay where joy is strong.
Stupid people should wear signs, neon bright, so we can find a way to dodge their tangled mess, avoid their chaos more, say less. Wear a sign, wear a sign. Save me from your twisted lies. Politicians dance and spin, blatant lies with a practiced grin. Blame the moon, blame the stars, blame the traffic or faulty cars. You think they're 6, not 35, playing games to stay.
Marvin Divine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Wear a sign, wear a sign. If only my studio actually looked like that. All that purple and those lounge chairs, that would be awesome. I'd really like that. That little animation that comes before the news there, folks. Wear a sign, wear a sign. Stupid people should wear signs. Bill Engvall once upon a time admonished us that stupid people should wear signs, and they should. And just a handful of stupid people you just saw on that short video. Welcome to the program, folks. It is Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. I'm live in the studio here in central Pennsylvania. Yes, lots happening around the world. Donald Trump awarded the Israeli award, the highest decoration available from the government of Israel, never previously awarded to a non-Israeli citizen. Egypt also bestowing its highest honor upon President Trump. And then at the Sharm el-Sheikh Peace Conference, in which the Pakistani Prime Minister attended, or President, whichever it was, calling for Donald Trump to get the Nobel Peace Prize. The Nobel has become such a joke and embarrassment to themselves. Trump is winning, winning, winning. All I do is win, 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 no matter what. And my hands go up, and they stay there, and they stay there. Up, down, up, down. All I do is win, win, win. Trump, one victory after another. The media trying to claim that Trump is cutting social benefits for Americans. His shutdown, it's not Trump's shutdown. That's a lie, Washington Post. And Trump is not cutting benefits. Trump has found a way to divert money from tariff revenue to WIC, Women, Infants, and Children, and to food stamps, SNAP, the Supplemental Nutritional Access Program, which is food stamps. Trump is getting it done. The Democrats are screwing the pooch. They're busy in the park, sticking their schlong where it shouldn't be, when they should be paying attention. The world is on fire, and Trump is the fireman. Whoosh. The extinguisher, putting out the fires everywhere. Welcome to the program once again. Let's say hello. Just quickly go through some of the names that are here. Can't get all of them. Linda Quids, Eudora, CMN, Suman 3, excuse me. Stian Forster's here. Expat Family Joubert, Vilma Erasmus, and then Andrew Knoll. For those who saw the full Robin Hood, does Rob encourage South Africans to move to the U.S.? I didn't raise that question. I didn't really. We were here to talk about economics and the issues for South Africa. It's a fair question. If we got a little bit longer, I might ask that question. Yeah, Rob probably wants people to stay, but he's not going to begrudge people leaving. I can't speak for him, but I suspect that's the case. We got phones taken in Mozambique. Phones. And there's a super chat and quits. Thank you for you doing what you do. Thank you for the 35 Rand super chat. Clouds are gathering. Clouds are gathering. Even if those miraculously fixed tomorrow, the FT program is still available and I would still go. Yeah, there you go, Quids. Denise Bellingham, Andre Nell, Ingrid's Inspirations, Linda van den Est, Andre Mostart, Teresa Mostart, J9, and Candace Stridham, Joy Thron, Denise Bellingham, Mariki Bezidenhout, Dylan Kombrek and OG, Yuri Osthuizen, Andrew Knoll. For those looking forward to move to the U.S., do you think it makes much difference if you end up in a blue or red state? No, it doesn't, Andrew. It does make a difference who your refugee assistance officer is and what the economic prospects are there. No. You don't have to stay where they send you. I'd recommend you do stay for 3 to 6 months minimum, just to get settled and get everything sorted before you start moving around. But some people just move instantaneously. Those boers, man, they just love they do the trek. It's tijd te trek. Tijd te trek. You know, they just take off, man. Tijd te gaan. And they just get up and go. Look at Charles. He landed in Buffalo, and days later he was in South Dakota. The family from Iowa, comfortable, offered a job in Kentucky, they moved to Kentucky. I get other people asking me, should they move? Well, that's your personal decision. I can't speak for you. But if, for instance, some of you have come over and part of your family's coming over and they're going to come to the same place as you, and then you're going to relocate and they're in the other place, why don't you just wait for everybody to get here, get settled, get your refugee cash assistance, get your social security numbers, get everything in motion, get an automobile, get a job, then consider moving. Conrad Heidenhuis, Sync Master, Francis Ruiz, Ledemagog, Delmarie Mostat, you're welcome for the chat. Okay, rotten state of policing. It looks more like zero policing. Yeah, well, that's my story for the day. I'm going to get to that. 70% of current officers are part of the crime. I don't know what the figure is, Conrad, but I'm sure it's not low. Back again, plenty of signs on order from South Africa. Yeah, you're right about that, Joan. Philip Duplessis, Phoenix, Lawrence Duplessis, Richard Kuhn, Hendo, Julian Mulder. Is Erica here? There's Erica right there. Martin Williams Bernard. Welcome, Erica. Relaxing Positive Energy is here. Christo De Beer. And Vilma Erasmus, another OG, expat family. Multipass Lelu Dallas is with us. There it goes. My recording is finally done. Okay, 0.5 gigabyte. How are we doing, Jacqueline? I'm okay. Thank you. I appreciate you being here. Just would like to share some hope. Someone contacted in September, got approval letter a few days ago. There you go, Karen. Thank you for sharing that. Fleshin is in from the UK. Love having my UK audience here. There's at least 2 of them. I haven't seen Fiona. She's not well. But there's Hendo, and we've also seen... And no, thank you, Mr. T. Mr. TT, thank you for becoming a member 7 months ago. We are seeing you. Oh, cool. Glad you just see me. Okay. 66 is my go-to these days. I love shopping, says Expat. Okay. Nick is here. Nick is an OG. Fleshin and Hendo from the UK. Garrett Gillich is here. And Hank Adrian stays back there. Hank's been around a long time, too. Just for info, one of my family members was contacted. Congratulations. See, it's happening, folks. It's happening. I know people are frustrated. It takes a long time, but it's a lot of statements of interest. Thank you for everything. We received approval letters. Look at that. There's another one. Look at that. Look at that. Either a lot of people are lying to me or a lot of good stuff is happening. Yeah, keep smiling, folks. A lot of good stuff is happening for people. I mean, it really is. I'm not making this stuff up. I mean, I'm not making it up. It's true. Janet Lydian from South Carolina. It's Keep Smiling, DJ Silver Eagle.
When the rain comes down, it don't mean you drown. Just grab your boots and dance around. A little mud never hurt a soul.
Nah, a little bit of mud.
It's how we grow.
That's right.
It's how we roll.
The sun's hiding, but it ain't gone. Keep your heart turned on, turned on.
Keep smiling, keep shining when the storm tries to steal your song. Keep smiling, keep climbing till the dark clouds that don't belong. Oh, misery won't stay where joy is strong. Oh, misery won't stay where joy is strong.
Come on, folks. Look, Calfoot Soki. Kick off those boots. Get out there.
When whispers creep in saying you can't win,
Just shout louder, drown them out again. Turn the doubts into your fire. Every stumble builds something higher. When shadows linger, light your spark. Don't let them pull you into the dark. Keep smiling, keep shining when the storm tries to steal your song. Keep smiling, keep climbing till the dark clouds that don't belong. Oh, misery won't stay where joy is strong. Oh, misery won't stay where joy is strong.
Keep smiling, folks. Don't let the bastards grind you down. Yeah, that's the message today. Lots of people getting a notification. Congratulations, all those who are getting it. If you're pulling my leg, well, then the joke's on me. But congratulations to everybody. Peter McCabe is here. Delmarie Mostart. Keep smiling. Inner joys. Yep. Naomi, Pauline King, Karen van der Westhuizen, Berkeles, and Peril Vipboy is here as well. Aretha Milan, Carlos Freda, Mark Kennedy. Hope my call comes soon. Our landlord has not been paying our electrical bill on the farm. Oh, that's terrible. That sucks, Mark. By the way, two things right now, okay? Hendo or Erica, somebody please put in a link to the Truth Report on YouTube. Please do that right now. Rob Hersoff just offered to pay half my plane ticket for my next trip to South Africa if we get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the month. I got 16 days. We can pull that off. We need 4,000. Some of the 300 people that are here right now could go over and subscribe to the Truth Report. Just get them over 100,000 so we get there by October 31st so that Rob is committed to paying for part of my plane ticket. One of the mods, please put the link into Rob's channel. There it is. Hendo just put it in the Truth Reports. Go over and become a subscriber. Push us over 100,000. Now, there's the challenge. Rob has extended the offer. I'm extending the challenge to my subscribers, okay? 30 weeks pregnant, but I contacted a few days ago. Do you know how this will affect my refugee application? Chloe, wow, congratulations. Also, gosh, that's got to be a load. 30 weeks. How many weeks is the gestation period? When do we give birth? 36 weeks? I don't know. What's the math? 9 divided by 4. It's 36. Yeah, you're 6 weeks away from giving birth, assuming there's no premature birth there. I don't know how it affects it, Natasha. You as a medical question, that's a medical question, not a refugee question. There is a window when pregnant women aren't supposed to fly. It used to be after 4 months, but that was 30 years ago. 40 weeks. Yeah. Angelique just subscribed. Thank you. YouTube is screwing me around again, says Karen. Subscribe to the Truth Report and watch it today. Thank you, Denise. Not allowed to travel after 6 months, says Chief Wolf. Well, then it won't take long. You'll have your baby. Your baby will be healthy, and then you'll be able to go shortly after that. So, wow, congratulations. So I do have a question. For you, Chloe. I don't need to be intrusive, but what exactly were you doing about 30 weeks ago? Naughty, Chloe. Naughty. Okay, congratulations, though. That's fantastic. I won't ask if it's a boy or girl. I think that's something we should know until the child's born, but that's just me. I'm old school. All right. So anyway, those who are trying to chat up Chloe, forget about it, man. She's already knocked up. She's not interested. I'm just saying. Yeah, Chloe, I wouldn't lose a lot of sleep over it. They're going to get you out. If you've already gotten approval, you're going to get you out. Tessa Kortson, welcome to you. Got your pin waiting for the call. There you go. Maggie Groves, hello. I watch all the videos. That's fine, Maggie. Thank you for watching. A lot of people don't comment, and a lot of people watch my content. Some people claim they watch my content and then send me emails, and it's clear they don't watch my content because they're asking me questions I answer every day. Dawn Janssen van Rensburg says, good evening to you. Okay. Barbara Harrison, and thanks so much. It's a baby girl. Oh, Chloe, you let the secret out of the bag. Congratulations. All right, that's cool. Now I'm going to be curious, Chloe. Is it your first? Just curious. The happy vibes. Pearl, yeah, we need to uplift. There's been dark clouds here. Chris has had some tough medical conditions, and poured his heart out sharing his experience with transgenderism on a video we did recently, which a lot of people respected. I appreciate that. Ludwig came on with some very strange comments yesterday, which disturbed a lot of people about his safety and welfare. Yeah, folks, so a little bit of lighthearted moment is nice. I'll get to the rotten state of the policing. It's not clickbait. It just, it's incumbent on me to try to welcome my audience in here. That's how I do business. That's how we roll here at the Indaba Africa channel. So I'm sorry, I'm getting my phone is blowing up again. I have to see if this is just nonsense or if it's important for the Veterans Place where I spent 5.5 hours last night. Okay, well, one thing is about the parade this weekend. Appointment, Camp Hill Friday is 3:15. Okay. Donald Trump. Okay, I got a message from Donald Trump. That's not from Donald Trump. All right, so. Hey, by the way, I know you guys like the bugger off bunny, Bob, but remember, I was in the UK and I went to Windermere, Lake Windermere. And Peter Rabbit is from there. Yeah, Peter Rabbit. Remember Peter, Flopsy, and all those? Yep, that was pretty cool. So Peter is hanging out on the shelf back there, my little Peter Rabbit. Welcome back. Okay, so some people ask so many stupid questions that have been answered that even go, well, Fabian, you have no idea the patience I have in answering these questions the best I can. But I have warned people, if you send me emails to anywhere other than this account, I'm not answering them. I just don't have time. I mean, it's not being rude. It's just you can't follow simple directions, then that's on you, not on me. Okay. Okay. Naomi says, I'm so naughty. About what? All of us are knitting and crocheting, can start making baby clothes. There you go. Rock summer bros. Okay. Rock my bung. Okay, so hold my hand. Anyway, folks, so the rotten state of policing in South Africa, the Mkhwanazi allegations and counter allegations, and this is driving me nuts here. This shirt is going too far apart. Too much chest showing there. All right, now that looks a little too much of Poindexter look. Look at that. See, when it's buttoned up like that, it looks like Poindexter. We'll just leave it open. Anyway, so the Mkhwanazi allegations and now the Mhlanga Commission. It's crazy what's happening in South Africa. Counter and top cop after top cop, blaming this other person, blaming the minister, blaming the police commissioner, blaming this cop, blaming that cop. Either there is a lot of rot in the police, which we've long suspected, or this is just the knives that come out to take out your opponents. Whatever the case is. No, Garrett, Rob won't play for first class flight. Although maybe that's why he offered half. He thought I was going to fly first class, but business class. No, I fly economy all the time. I'm in the back of the bus. Matthew, can we take our dogs with? You can, Matthew. You should take 3 pit bulls. See how that goes for you. Trump Starmer videos going around are so funny. Yeah, I know. Starmer is pathetic. He's a loser. Sir Keir Starmer. Why is he a sir? What did he do to become a knight? What, a knight of what? The knight of the folded table? is Keir Starmer a knight of the poker table? You know, what is he a knight of? Certain knight of the round, not a knight of the round table. Now we know what the plane loads, but what did they offload? We don't know, Lawrence. We don't know. We don't know what they offloaded. Yes, Keir Starmer has betrayed his citizens of the United Kingdom, but so have the Tories. They're no better. They're no better. The Tories are not an option. The Labour's not an option. Maggie Thatcher is rolling over in her grave. Anyway, back to the story at hand. So the police commission is shocking the allegations coming out now, counter allegations. I strongly believe, and hopefully I'm wrong. I don't want that to happen, but I strongly believe that this attention about criminality in the police and undermining the justice system and legitimacy in South Africa may jeopardize South Africa's removal from the grey list for the Financial Action Task Force. I'm not making any Karen jokes, Karen. What are you talking about? I used to protect Karens. Law firms and lawyers no longer fear the law. They are so-called. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Even seems like Fani Masemola is spilling the beans. Yes, even Fani Masemola, he's spilling a lot of beans. Fani Masemola has tons of beans to spill. Pete organized my brother and I an upgrade to first class New York City. Kite was epic. Yeah, no, I've flown in first class once. Thank you, Monza, for subscribing to the Truth Report. Oh, you're talking to Alan. Okay. Seems like they all involved in now. It's all coming out. Okay. Yes, that's what it seems, Alan. You're spot on. It seems like they're all corrupt or involved. And we'll see what happens going forward. Johan van Tonder, all the car guards, just some good news. Took 3 weeks to get UBC, that's unabridged birth certificate, I guess. Silver clouds are gathering. Now waiting for the call. Okay. Number one question that has been asked more than 1 million times. Do I need unabridged? Exactly right, Fabian. That's exactly right. That's a question that's been asked 1 million times. Yes, and Krista, there's definitely a story behind the story here. Yes, you are correct. And that's why I'm talking about this. South Africa is jeopardizing its international standing. 2 ways that are obvious to the world. Number one, transporting banned military material and gazelles, whether they're used for civilian purposes or not, are military helicopters, to a warlord in Libya. Not the first time it's happened, by the way. They were exposed over a decade ago for the same sort of thing. Much credit to Erica Gibson at City Press for her expose on this. Again, I give credit to journalists who are doing a good job in exposing this, and fantastic research in this story. Really, really well done. So thank you for that. Yeah, that's one thing. And then what's going on with the police? It's just out of control, folks. Ai, mani, ek wens so my son beskiet op des o babatki ek wil brei klokkenkoor. Boy, that's a mouthful, man. Excuse me. Where's the couch now? What, Cyril's couch? Cyril's couch. Yeah, we can play that song. We've got that song too. All right, let's get on to some of the news here. I know people have tuned in for the news. Be sure to hit that like button if you haven't done it already, folks. If you haven't done it, we're going to talk about the hostages, 251 taken by the terrorists, and what happened to them. Madagascar's president. Ooh, things are heating up in Madagascar. How soon before the ANC feels compelled to intervene in the affairs of Madagascar, which it's wont to do. So, folks, yes, Madagascar. It's all going sideways. By the way, folks, I was offered a job there about 18 months ago, and I turned it down, making a lot of coin, making more than a member of Parliament of South Africa makes, and I passed it up to continue doing this. Now, with the unrest in Madagascar and Antananarivo, maybe that was a good move. Yeah. Madagascar's president dissolves the National Assembly and flees amid violent unrest. This story came out about 6 hours ago. Andre Rajolina's whereabouts are unknown. His nation has seen 3 weeks of unrest after massive youth-led protests turned deadly, killing at least 22. In a decree posted today to the presidency's Facebook page, He had informed the Prime Minister and consulted leaders of the National Assembly and the Senate before announcing the dissolution of the Assembly. Opposition members there had been trying to gather enough signatures to impeach him. In a 26-minute online video, he resisted growing calls for his resignation and sought talks to find a way out of the situation. The developments come as the Southern African island nation, home to more than 29 million people, enters its third week of deadly political unrest. 22 people were killed, more than 100 injured in clashes with security forces spurred by anger over water and power cuts and subsequent gang violence and looting. His whereabouts are unknown. Many people have rumored over the weekend that he fled the country. But we don't know that to be the case. Madagascar president dissolves parliament ahead of the impeachment vote. So he stopped the impeachment vote by dissolving parliament. Smart move. Smart move. But will it work? Well, groups are blasting South Africa's presidency for its leadership over its one-year period of being in charge of the G20 group of nations, the joke economic group that betrays the concept of the G7. But the G20, led by South Africa, has not appeased them. Groups blast the lack of progress on debt issues during South Africa's G20 presidency. Well, they're too busy stuffing money in sofas. A total of 165 organizations yesterday criticized South Africa for failing to make progress on debt sustainability during its presidency of G20. In a letter to South African President Ramaphosa released on the first day of the annual International Monetary Fund and World Bank meetings, the group called for a cancellation of all unsustainable, illegitimate debts from all creditors. Illegitimate debts? They're not illegitimate. You dirtbags borrowed the money, pay it back. From all creditors to protect funds needed for education, health, gender equality, and climate change resilience. Well, that money was given to these countries so they would address those things, and then they squandered the money, and now they don't want to pay it back? No. No. Total debt in emerging markets rose to $3.4 trillion in the second quarter. By $3.4 million to a record amount of $109 trillion owed by these developing economies, who will never pay it back. So they want us to forgive it, and then they'll come back and beg for money. And then we're all racist if we don't give them money. And then we'll loan the money, and then they'll cry. If we grant them money, then they just run off and support terrorists in Gaza and Iran and Cuba, in Russia and Beijing against our national interest. Yeah, screw this. They get no money. No money whatsoever. No debt forgiveness. Well, a secret witness testifies that Matlatla and Unmatlatla and the KZN Hawks Head relationship. The witness picked up where General Dumisani Kumalo left off. A secret witness testifying for the Mlanga Commission has picked up where crime intelligence boss Kumalo left off and is tracing the phone records of attempted murder accused Kat Matlatla. The commission investigating allegations of criminality and political interference and corruption in the criminal justice system resumed hearing testimony today after almost 2-week halt. The commission's hearings came to an abrupt pause when Kamala became unwell and could not give evidence. Well, a secret witness. A secret witness. Who's getting 110,000 subscribers by the next week? No, Alan. I just need to get them to 100,000. Sedgefield, the deal that Rob Hersoff proposes, if we get the Truth Report to 100,000 by the end of October, he'd pay half my flight. Okay? Yep. Afrikaans is my Moedertaal. Ek het vanaand vir die eerste keer gehoor ons besluit om iets te doen. All right. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Now say that in Formula One language. Timu's move to a South African warehouses will be monitored, says Parks Tao, the Minister of No Trade. Minister of No Trade, Industry and Competition, Parks Tao, said the National Consumer Commission will probe the e-commerce industry in South Africa, including investigations around Timu. Deceptive practices, quality and safety of products. Interesting. I think the biggest concern should be how they're getting around the VAT. South African manufacturers, retailers, and labor groups have been critical about the impact of cheap Chinese imports. In contrast, South African Revenue Services last year estimated that South Africa suffered tax loss of $3.5 billion due to previous import loopholes that allowed packages below 500 Rand to be imported with a flat duty of 20% and no VAT. 500 Rand. That's nothing, folks. That's nothing. And Temu, virtually every one of their packages says it's 500 Rand. It's ridiculous. They've been robbing South Africa's government of revenue. That's $27. $27. Well, a record 1.8 trillion Rand is sitting in banks, corporate cash hoard, thwarting efforts to grow the economy. And I don't blame the companies. Why would you invest in South Africa? Rob and I talked about this. Yep. Business Day reported in June that South African corporates are holding excess cash as a cushion to bridge the timing mismatch between cash generation and sudden cash needs. No, that's not why. That's not why. The reason they're doing it. Who said that? Business who? Business Day. No, Business Day, you're wrong. The reason they're holding the cash is because there's nowhere safe to put it in South Africa. It doesn't make sense to invest in a country that's going to confiscate your property. KZN wants 95% of matrics to pass exams this year. Really? The KwaZulu-Natal Education Department set an ambitious target of surpassing the outstanding results it achieved in the matric class of 2024, when this year's cohort sits for the National Senior Certificate exams. Despite the KZN class of 2024 emerging as the most improved and second highest performing in the country with a pass rate of 89.5. Sorry. I can't swallow that. I can't say that. Thank you, Peter Talliard. Hang on. I just couldn't swallow those words. So, here's the deal, folks. Here's the deal. Thank you, Joan Stewart. That's where I was headed with this. 89% of people passed. How many of them had passed with 70%? When you tell me the pass rate of people getting 70% of the scores, I'll start to listen. 70% is a passing rate. Anything less is failure. Exactly, Phoenix. So lower to 20%. Cooking exams results, and one of the reasons why. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Hendo. I couldn't swallow that. I had to drink something. Ingrid is now going in Afrikaans. People are going off in Afrikaans. How about somebody start speaking in Swana? The Democratic Alliance wants the public prosecutor to probe Nelson Mandela Bay. There is former Mayor Retief Odendaal and a member of the council. I've met both those gentlemen right there. The DA has accused Nelson Mandela Bay Metropolitan Municipality of financial mismanagement of 70 million Rand. Municipality spent millions on 15-year-old security equipment. In response, Deputy Mayor Gary van Niekerk called MP Retief Odendaal a liar and corrupt. All right, so I've never ran around and made any comments about Gary van Niekerk. But what I will say right now to Gary van Niekerk is you're a disgusting human being. I know Retief Odendaal. He's not a liar. Corrupt? No. You're the guy under suspicion for corruption, not Retief Odendaal. So why don't you shut your cake hole, Gary van Niekerk, go back into your hole and pray that you're not convicted of the criminal charges against you. And apologize to Retief Odendaal. Please apologize to Retief Odendaal and shut your cake hole. Yaku Brewer says Soltec. Yes, I know Soltec. I've been there. I've interviewed them. Been there for a few times. A 90% pass rate, but that's because they educate their students. Transvaal. Hey, welcome, Transvaal. Okay. And Maggie subscribed to the Truth Report. Thank you for that, guys. So the DA has accused Nelson Mandela Bay of financial mismanagement. The Nelson Mandela Bay municipality spent $69 million on a 15-year-old security equipment worth no more than $3.3 million. All this while children are murdered, gang violence spirals out of control, and vandalism wreaks havoc. Yep. So what happened there? They bought used equipment? I don't know. News 24 previously reported municipalities' legal action against AfriSec Strategic Solutions, which was instituted in 2016. Anyway, after a protracted court battle with AfriSec, which had already received 36 million Rand for equipment that was remained idle and gathering dust in the warehouse, the municipality has now paid an additional 26 million as part of an out-of-court settlement. An out-of-court settlement. Well, Corey, you've touched on something I've touched on in the past too. They don't even take into effect that people who are actually testing for the matric is a small fraction of those who entered school 12 years prior. You are correct. That's even worse. If you take that into account, the number of people actually getting educated in South Africa is shockingly low. Well, the spotlight remains, according to Business Day, on the ANC in Izulani. Yep, it's not going away. The DA and Action SA a reignited bid for Electoral Commission to probe and breaches of funding legislation. Agreed. ANC is facing renewed pressure over its finances after Action SA and the DA reignited their bid to have the party's $102 million debt with Izolini investigated by the Electoral Commission of South Africa. The IEC's lack of interest in exploring how the ANC came up with money to fund its campaign in 2024 is disturbing. The Independent Electoral Commission seems to have very little interest in investigating this case, something I've been exposing for nigh on 18 months. Well, speaking of bad words, Kenny Kanani sends legal letter to EFF's Tambo over Big Five bail claims, defamation case. Kenny Kanani, the reinstated City of Johannesburg MMC for Transport, demands EFF spokesperson retract defamatory posts linking him to a murder accused. But you are linked to a murder accused. You showed up in his house twice, buddy. He served Tambo with a cease and desist letter on Saturday demanding a formal withdrawal or retraction of all defamatory posts. Well, what did he say that was defamatory? I don't know. It doesn't say here. Oh, here it is. KTF Malefic Behavioral Alliance is arrested for the killing of Armand Swart. Okay. Arrested in presence of Kenny Kanani for the murder of DJ Somebody. Okay, how's that defamatory? How's that defamatory? That's what happened, did it not? Was the guy not arrested? Did it not happen? Armand Swart is that poor Afrikaans guy fixing things who was assassinated, and they killed the wrong guy. South Africa is so screwed up that assassins can't even kill the right person. They go out to murder someone who's a whistleblower, and they kill some kid who had a family who did nothing, had nothing to do with it, just doing his job that day. And they gunned him down like a dog in the streets. This is sick. This is a sick country. Speaking of sick country, murdered Port Elizabeth toddler cries were from a horror movie, according to her stepfather. Murdered toddler Chrisley Durker reportedly screamed hysterically for a few days before her death, Eastern Cape High Court of Bergen heard on Monday. However, stepfather Robin Clark says that the neighbors who heard the screams were confused them with sounds of coming from a horror movie he might have been watching. I'm sorry, you moron. Were you watching a horror movie 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 4 days? And by the way, why didn't somebody intervene? You hear a toddler crying for days? I hear a toddler crying for 10 minutes. I get angry and pissed off, and I investigate. Days? How about negligence on the part of people who didn't intervene or call somebody to intervene? Chesigi says, Real Bocha Cornel, Kesa Oseterang. That is Tswana. Thank you for that. As requested. Let's switch our attention from South Africa to the Middle East and Hamas, the terror group. And they abducted 251 Israelis and international citizens. Of the 251 who were abducted, one is unaccounted for. 166 were freed and 84 were murdered. It says killed, but they were murdered. They weren't killed, they were murdered. Tamir Nimrodi is the last hostage who has neither been declared dead nor returned after 20 surviving hostages and the bodies of 4 others were returned on October 13th. 166 have been freed or rescued. Only a handful rescued, most were freed. 84 were murdered. And I don't want to hear that, well, they died because Israelis shelled the location. They were murdered. If they had not been snatched and abducted illicitly from Israel, they would not be dead. October 14th, Israel confirmed the identities of 2 of the 4 deceased hostages Hamas released, including Israeli national Guy Ilus and Nepalese citizen Bipin Yoshi. It's unclear how many days it will take for remaining bodies to return to Israel. Here's the status of the 251 people abducted by terrorists on October 7th, 2021. Those who were murdered are in gray. Those who were freed are in blue. And remaining hostages, there's 1 left. And for this, Israel releases over 1,900 Palestinian criminals, including over 145 convicted terrorists. French Prime Minister will suspend a pension reform to avoid the government shutdown. The man who doesn't want to be Prime Minister, but is Prime Minister, but doesn't want to be Prime Minister, Sébastien Lecornu, announced he would suspend a much-debated plan to raise the retirement age from 62 to 64 in a move aimed at preventing his fragile minority government from being toppled. Lazy Frenchmen. They wonder why their economy sucks. Because they're lazy. 62 to retire? What planet are you on? Dozens of people have died, and dozens more are missing after catastrophic rains devastate Mexico. Torrential rain set off deadly floods and landslides across 5 Mexican states, leaving a trail of destruction. Here's a Mexican Marine, helping a woman across a flooded street in Poza Rica, Veracruz. Man, that's crazy. That's hectic. Look at all that. That must have been a lot of water. Mexican authorities are searching for dozens of missing people and struggling to supply aid to thousands who were caught off guard by torrential rains that drenched several parts of the country. There were no scientific or meteorological conditions that could have indicated to us that the rainfall would be of this magnitude, Ms. Scheinbaum told reporters. Wow. There you go. Look at that. Well, look at that. People building their houses in floodplains. It reminds me of KwaZulu-Natal. Building their shacks in floodplains. People on the hill are on the hill. Shame. Microsoft and Anthropic hire former British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, the multi-millionaire who hides his money in the Jersey and Guernsey Islands off the English Channel. His money's in Jersey. Rishi Sunak. Sunak said the companies were addressing strategic questions about how to make tech work for economies, security, and society. By the way, he's still a member of the British Parliament. Talk about a conflict of interest. Yes. Microsoft and artificial intelligence firm Anthropic hired former UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak as an advisor following his appointment to a similar role at Goldman Sachs. So now he's in deep with Goldman Sachs, Microsoft, and Anthropic. He remains a member of Britain's Parliament and said in a social media post that he would be working with tech companies as a senior advisor and strategic consultant. Conflict of interest, conflict of interest, conflict of interest. He will donate his full compensation from the roles to the Richmond Project, a charity run by him and his wife. Nothing to see here, folks. Just keep moving. Nothing to see. Nothing to see. Paul, I'm so sorry to hear that. Broke his leg. That's terrible. That's terrible. Del Marie, sad. Floods are terrible, especially in the cold weather. Yeah, they are. They suck. Well, the stock market today didn't look too good earlier this morning, taking a plunge. With China tensions in focus. The steady rebound narrowed the major indexes opening declines, and a comment just shy of noon by the U.S. Trade Representative, the two nations, China and U.S., are on track to meet to drive recovery. Beijing effectively sanctioned U.S. units of South Korean shipbuilding giant. China said the Hanwha Ocean subsidiary supported the U.S. government and hurt Chinese firms' interests. The move came as tit for tat. Special U.S. and Chinese port fees took effect. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told the Financial Times that China was in the middle of a recession depression. They want to pull everybody else down with them. True statement, Scott. Well said, Scott Bessent. Remember how Trump hates gays? Isn't Scott Bessent gay? One of the most powerful people in the world, appointed by Donald Trump. Burt Grinnell became one of the most powerful people in the world. First openly senior cabinet member in history of the United States. Trump did that, not the Democrats. The first woman ever appointed to the Supreme Court, a Republican did that. Sandra Day O'Connor, not the Democrats. Veterans groups ripped the Washington Post for investigation into VA disability. Veterans groups accused Washington Post of overstating problems with departments of Veterans Affairs Disability and scapegoating former service members. 100%. Veterans groups assailed the Post for publishing an investigation last week into the Department of Veterans Affairs. In 2 lengthy articles based on 25 years of government data and thousands of pages of public documents, the Post exposed how VA's $193 billion disability program has become prone to rampant exaggeration. Yeah, well, the records show the VA has approved millions of claims for minor or treatable afflictions that rarely hinder employment. Again, Washington Post, you don't get it. It's not about employment, you morons. It's about making people whole. You dipshit, doorknob, compost newspaper. Post reporting found that veterans advocates and the VA often encourage vets to file as many claims as possible. Well, that's because we're trying to make them whole, you morons. Carl Blake, chief executive of Paralyzed Veterans America, issued a statement that said the group was outraged at the Washington Post's decision to paint most veterans with service-connected disabilities as fraudsters and cheats. As am I. Yep. Other groups use more strident imagery and language. Veterans of Foreign Wars post on its website a cartoon of a firing squad depicting the post as an executioner aiming a rifle at the veterans. I'll have to go check that out. The VFW did that, huh? I'm a VFW member. Spot on. Let me go to that. Google VFW. VFW. Okay. There we go. Veterans of Foreign Wars. Where is the... Come on. Where's it at? Well, if they put it up here, it didn't stay very long. They have news. Latest releases. Okay. I don't see it here. Oh, here it is. Oh, there it is. Yep, there it is. Firing squad. I like this. I'm going to put this. This is great. Thank you, VFW. So they're doing something for us here. Thank you, Quits, for upgrading your membership to Platoon Leader. That's awesome. So here it is. VFW to Washington Post. Veterans' disabilities benefits are not loopholes to exploit. The following letter from VFW National Commander was submitted to the Post today. And there it is. Firing squad to Washington Post. Modern edition. To the editors of Washington Post, your recent article, How Some Veterans Exploit $193 Billion VA Program Due to Lax Controls, is not just a disservice to veterans. It's a dangerously misleading piece that feeds into damaging stereotypes and ignores both the moral and legal foundations of the Department of Veterans Affairs disability system. Let's be absolutely clear. Veterans' disability benefits are not charity. They are compensation owed for injuries and conditions incurred in the line of duty. Correct. Making someone whole. But they're still talking about disability for employment. It has nothing to do with employment. Promised by a government that asks men and women to risk their lives and health, often irreversibly, on its behalf. And I can't walk properly as a consequence. And I'm not even getting paid for that. These benefits are not some loopholes for opportunists to exploit. They're the very least this country can do for people it's sent to war repeatedly, especially after more than 2 decades of sustained conflict without a draft. Your article leans heavily on inflammatory anecdotes and edge cases, portraying veterans as system abusers while ignoring the structural reality, combat wounds, not only the occupational hazards of military service, the daily grind of service, exposure to toxic environments, repeated concussions, sleep deprivation, moral injury, sexual trauma, constant stress, and grueling physical demands leaves lasting scars. Just because a veteran wasn't blown up by an IED doesn't mean they aren't disabled. Invisible injuries like PTSD, traumatic brain injury, and toxic exposure-related illnesses are not new or suspect. We just finally stopped ignoring them. Every generation of veterans before this one suffered in silence, and many died without care or acknowledgement. To now say that recognizing these conditions is proof of fraud is not only illogical, it is cruel. The article also seems to misunderstand how VA disability ratings work. The system doesn't compensate based solely on whether someone can work. Thank you! It compensates based on how a service-connected condition impairs a veteran's average ability to function in life and society. If you have no testicles or you're sterile because of military service, you get a small stipend to make you whole, whether you can work or not. The fact that a veteran can hold a job doesn't mean their disability doesn't make daily life harder, more painful, or more isolating. If VA ratings were based solely on complete incapacity, we wouldn't see skyrocketing rates of veteran suicide, addiction, homelessness, or divorce, all of which are fueled not by fraud, but by the very real and too often dismissed cost of military service. Lastly, let's not ignore what this article really reflects. Veterans make an easy scapegoat for the elites of this country. We're a small percentage of the population. Many Americans are disconnected from the wars they authorized or ignored. It is politically and socially convenient to question the integrity of veterans rather than confront the true cost of 25 years of war. But the cost is real, and the obligation to those who bore it is not optional. If your investigative team wants to find waste and fraud, start with the contractors who overbill, the generals who fail upward, executives of the squandered programs, or the politicians who wave flags while gutting oversight. But you don't dare turn your sons and daughters who carried the burden of service and now ask only to be for care and compensation they were promised. We veterans kept our end of the agreement, and we will continue to demand that those who ask us to defend our nation do the same. Honor the contract. Sincerely, Carol Whitmore, VFW Commander-in-Chief. She has my vote to come back again next year. She has my vote. That is the best op-ed I've seen in ages. The best op-ed I've seen in ages. Fantastic. Well said, Carol Whitmore. That is what I've been saying for 2 years about this. She said it in an op-ed without the profanity that I throw in. Wow. And so the Washington Post likes to make light of that thing the VFW put on there. Representative Mark Takano, Democrat of California, the top Democrat in the House Committee for Veterans Affairs, criticized the articles for omitting what he called essential context, saying in a news release the PACT Act had driven much of the increase in disability compensation. This rise in claims isn't evidence of mass fraud. It's proof that veterans are finally accessing the benefits that they were long owed. Thank you, Mr. Democrat. I appreciate that. The Post investigation found that exploitation of the VA disability program had worsened under the watch of both political parties. It hasn't worsened. That's nonsense. Common Defense, a progressive organization. First off, the number of people who are combat veterans increased exponentially over the last 20 years because we hadn't had a major conflict except for the Gulf War, which is a one-off, for decades. And then suddenly we have 2 decades of persistent warfare in which millions of people served in combat. Most of those millions of people have injuries, but only 3.9 million people are claiming disability benefits. Common Defense, a progressive veterans organization, accused the Post of supporting conservatives who want to privatize VA services. Oh, it has nothing to do with private stuff. Anyway, Veterans Affairs Secretary Doug Collins criticized the Post for being too liberal. Nobody wants to read their crazy Trump deranged ramblings. They're right. He's right. 2 articles last week generated an unusually heavy reader response, more than 5,000 comments online and scores of emails and phone calls. Yep. Some readers echo the complaints from the advocacy groups. But then they bring in leftists to support their position as if they're objective. They're not. Steve Carey, a 60-year-old Marine Corps veteran, contacted the Post to report an opposite problem. He said the VA had mistakenly paid him more than 100,000 disability payments and had ignored his pleas to stop giving him money. Carey, the chairman and founder of a government relations consulting firm in D.C., said he applied for disability benefits 3 years ago after he tested positive for an aggressive form of cancer. When he was in the Marines in the 1980s, he was stationed at Camp Lejeune, which had this contaminated water, where troops were exposed to contaminated water for decades, making him eligible for compensation because of his cancer diagnosis. The VA approved his claim and began paying him more than $3,500 a month. However, he underwent additional testing and learned that he didn't have cancer at all. He said he called the VA to report the good news and request an end to disability compensation. But a VA representative surprised by saying, "My bosses aren't going to like this." I said, "Look, you should be happy because you can cut my payments off and then give them to someone who needs them." But the payments kept coming despite repeated. And here's the thing. Eventually, the U.S. government will come after Mr. Carey and claim that he fraudulently claimed the money. If Mr. Carey's smart, he would go to a lawyer, make a statement, file it with the local courthouse, and he will leave every penny for the past 3 years that's coming to that account, put it in the bank account, earn interest on it, and then when the government wants their money, they can have it back. Trump administration live updates. Well, the president to host Argentina's leader after a bailout agreement. Yep, we're giving Argentina $20 billion. Javier Milei, the leader of Argentina, is scheduled to meet with President Trump today, just days after the United States agreed to move ahead with a major bailout of the Latin American nation and a friend of Trump. Historic crypto sell-off erased $19 billion, but 2 accounts made $160 million off it. Time Bet raises eyebrows amid record crypto sell-off. Look at that. October 10th, Trump's surprise announcement, 100% tariffs against China, and $19 billion in crypto was sold. President Trump's surprise announcement on Friday triggered a cryptocurrency sell-off that wiped out more than $19 billion in leveraged positions. Wow. Bitcoin dropped 12%, forcing liquidations that triggered even more selling, pushing prices lower. Less popular tokens saw declines as steep as 80%. CoinGlass noted that the scale of the sell-off is likely underreported as many platforms don't publish liquidation data. While crypto's fallen before, analysts said the sharp downturn exposed extreme leverage that had fueled a months-long rally, which began after the election of an administration seen as friendly to the industry. Look at that, man. Huge drop-offs. Well, again, as I told you, Bitcoin is speculation. You want to get into it, that's your prerogative. Not my place to tell you not to do it. Well, the shutdowns and layoffs, according to this, are targeting students, homeless, and seniors. The most at-risk Americans will suffer from Trump administration's latest layoffs, current and former federal officials have warned. Employees who regulate hazardous waste, inspectors who check the quality of federal housing, and office that makes sure students get disabilities get the help they need. These are among the targets of the Trump administration's latest round of federal layoffs, undertaking a government shutdown now stretching through its second week. But the Democrats are forcing this. They're the ones that are forcing it. Alex Jones loses. Supreme Court rebuffs Jones' effort to overturn the outrageous, ridiculous $1.4 billion Sandy Hook judgment. Supreme Court declined an appeal from Alex Jones today, brushing aside his effort to overturn a $1.4 billion libel judgment, a lower court ordered against him over his comments at the Sandy Hook school massacre. He faced mounting legal pressures after juries in Connecticut and Texas found him liable for defamation and emotional distress over the lies about the massacre, in which 20 first graders and 6 educators were killed. Jones has repeatedly tried to head off the sale of his right-wing platform, InfoWars, to pay those damages. The result is a financial death penalty by fiat imposed by a media defendant whose broadcast reached millions, Jones told the Supreme Court. Families waived the right to respond to that appeal, and the court did not order them to do so. So, I guess InfoWars is going to go away. Well, America saved this guy from the Taliban. Trump wants to send him back. So here's a sad story in the Washington Post talking about an Afghan who came here illegally and was granted illicit humanitarian parole, which is illegitimate, and now he's being deported. And they want a sad story. They want us to feel bad for him. Yep. He and his wife were among tens of thousands of Afghans desperate to escape Kabul's airport in August 2021 when a suicide bomber killed more than 180 people, including 13 service members. They heard the explosion and saw the wounded, and less than a day later, they packed into a U.S. military cargo plane bound for Qatar. On the basis of what? In the U.S., he was granted humanitarian parole, which is illegitimate. It runs for a short period of time. It allowed him to stay while his case was processed. He applied for asylum in 2022 and awaited a decision that never came. Well, that's under the Biden regime. Why didn't the Biden regime process this asylum claim? They let him in the country. In July, President Trump's administration was dismantling programs created to assist Afghan allies. He was arrested. Regime, he says, knows his family supported the U.S. for years. But this is proof right here, what I've talked about all along. 200,000 Afghans found refuge in this country in 2021. Yep. So, I'm sorry. To board a C-17 out of Afghanistan, he and his wife provided documents showing more than a decade of work and education aligned with U.S. interests. His brother, beloved by the U.S. Marines and Army officers he served with, vouched for him. He submitted to background checks in Qatar and at Dulles International Airport, at Fort Pickett, Virginia, where he and his wife were housed for a month. They each provided photos and fingerprints to run through international databases. They were screened again when they applied for humanitarian parole and work authorizations, and his asylum application required him to interview with Homeland Security for nearly 2 hours. Now, on his worst nights in the detention center, reminds himself of the promise America made to Afghans who support his cause. Nobody will left behind. We didn't make that promise. We didn't make that promise to you. Now, I understand where this guy's coming from, but this is Joe Biden's mess. Let them all go live with Joe Biden in Delaware. Put all 200,000 of them in Delaware. General Motors takes a $1.6 billion charge because of its foolish EV process. The automaker cites the end of government-funded subsidies and regulatory mandates that have fueled electric vehicle growth. So if the taxpayer isn't footing the bill for people's ritzy rich cars for richy riches, then it doesn't make money. General Motors says reducing its electric vehicle manufacturing capacity and booking a $1.6 billion charge on its EV business as demand tanks. The automaker has dramatically scaled back EV plants after spending billions on the technology. In 2021, GM said it was committing $35 billion on EVs and autonomous vehicles. Money went toward new models, EV battery development, and converting traditional auto factories to EV plants. Yeah, they've long been the most active automakers lobbying for relief for some EV rules. EV growth is stagnating in the U.S., partly because of the higher sticker prices and also the expiration of a $7,500 tax credit for those who were buying electric cars at our expense. Basically, the rest of us were subsidizing their electric cars. Well, the WNBA players are upset. They've had enough, and they're not going to take any more. They want a bigger slice of the pie. Okay. But unless Caitlin Clark is playing, I'm not watching the WNBA. It's boring. WNBA players want more money, and stars like Nafisa Collier and Caitlin Clark are calling out the league commissioner to get it. Oh, it's getting pretty ugly here. Fears of WNBA lockout loom as the players' union and league still haven't reached a new collective bargaining agreement. Revenue has doubled over the past several years to WNBA, but it's just now becoming profitable. And not every club is profitable. So this demand is a bit silly. Perhaps they should ask for money to be put into a fund, shares of each team, and those who play on the team or those who play in the WNBA for X number of games would get a share of the revenue generated from that. Where I'm asking because I'm also Northwest. Nikita Turian. What are you talking about there? Oh, you're talking to somebody over there. So, Lending Tree, the mortgage lender's CEO, has died in a ATV crash. Lending Tree CEO dies in an ATV accident on a family farm. Doug Lebda started the online lending marketplace in 1996 and led it through housing swings. The company eventually was worth almost $1 billion. He's died. The 55-year-old died in a all-terrain vehicle accident on his family farm in North Carolina. Sad news there for the Lebda family. Sorry to hear about that. Historic wave of retirements. You see, now the Washington Post starts telling the truth. They're blaming the government shutdown and the layoffs and Doge and everything on Trump. Okay. But what they don't talk about is the generation of bureaucrats that are retiring now, and there's no one behind them. You see, we had something called Graham-Rudman-Hollins back in the 1990s, which prevented federal hiring, put out federal hiring freeze on all but most essential positions. So for the better part of a decade plus, the federal government didn't hire people, which led us and forced us in the intelligence community, when that stuff was removed, to hire wet behind the nose 22-year-old know-nothing shitheads from Ivy League schools to come into the intelligence community, and they had this sense of entitlement. They foolishly hired them as GS-11s with a promise of 12 and 6 months and a promise of a step up within a year or 2 years to 13. Once they got 13, there's a backlog. There's no spaces for them at GS-14, 15, and SES, Senior Executive Service. So they ran around with little chips on their shoulders. And they ran around like little tyrants. Whereas people that had worked in the federal government, the normal progression, had spent 10, 15 years before they came at GS-13. And these little snot-noses came in and had the same rank, the same title within 2 or 3 years at the earliest. And it caused a lot of consternation. Well, there's a huge gap. Tens of thousands of government employees don't exist because they were never hired. They went in the private sector. Bitter Ender, thank you. Have a good week. Thank you for the super chat. Yes, and now the Post finally tells the truth. Tens of thousands of federal employees have taken retirement or other voluntary departures on top of the Trump administration's latest layoffs. Historic wave of retirements and other departures has swept through the federal workforce in recent months. This mass exodus, unprecedented in its scale, includes 154,000 federal employees who accepted buyouts or were largely removed from the payroll as the end of last month. Some of those were among the 105,000 who took regular retirement during the fiscal year. 105,000. Well, that's because we have a logjam. Will they admit that? No. They're going to blame it on Doge. It's not Doge. It's the nature of the structure of the federal workforce. And they're just dishonest. They are just dishonest. That's the reality there. 398 people currently here. Thank you for being here, folks. That is the news for today. Let me go through here and see some of the chat comments. Ruche says, hey, Colonel, good to see you again, old man. Thanks for still reporting us, even so many people throws in your face. You're very welcome, Ruche. Thank you for being there. And I'm not an old man. Electric car will not do well in South Africa. No. Well, potholes. I haven't heard from Ludwig. No. I know nothing to do with this video, but what do you think? How long before the shutdown is over? Oh, that's fine, Nikita. You can ask Nikita. You can ask the questions once I finish the news. I finish the news. I'll answer any questions I can reasonably. It doesn't matter what I think. It's up to the Democrats to vote on a bill in the Senate, and they refuse to do so. So I would hope that they would have common sense. I think it's going to last until the end of this month, at least. Yep. And then there's too much political capital to be lost if we don't get paid. We being people with entitlements or retirements, and then workers will be pissed off. So people have mortgage payments. Mortgage payments are typically due at the beginning of the month. So they can play these games and put hardship on people, but they put serious jeopardy on a lot of people, their credit history, come November 1st. I will be okay. I planned for this. I expected this before Trump ever even took office. I knew the Democrats would play this game, and that's why I always get irritated that we don't have a budget approved. And I knew this game was coming. I knew it was coming, so I planned. And I paid my mortgage last month off 10 days early. In fact, I'm looking at paying my mortgage off in the next few days for November in anticipation I won't get paid in November. That way I can move money around to cover other expenses. So we'll open just in time for shutdown for Christmas. Well, November 1st isn't for Christmas. That's before Thanksgiving. Ronald Thunderspool is in from Bloemfontein. Yes, a mossy is a mosquito. Scary emoji. Who's got scary emojis? So I hope that answers the question, Nikita. Okay. 1440's back. Where I'm asking because I'm also, what's with this Northwest thing? Okay. Tigers and Sweets. Yes, the Church World Service is processing Afghan refugees, but the media doesn't report that. They just report that it's racist that Trump lets white people, white farmers, white Afrikaners. That's not who's coming. That's a portion of who's coming over here. Get the facts straight. And they're also letting Afghans and others come in the country. Yep. Not the level that they'd approved previously, but they're coming in. Are they voting today? I don't know. I'm not paying any attention to it because it doesn't mean anything until they pass it. To the 18th. I'm not sure why the 18th, but by the 31st, they'll have it done, I think. Tinky Kaiser says, thank you for taking time to keep us informed about the news. Thanks for your friendship. It consists of willing ear and understanding heart. Well, thank you so much for that, Tinky. Thank you for being a subscriber, and thank you for commenting. I appreciate that. And Ingrid's correct. No money can make up for the sacrifices. Veterans should have totally unconditional free medical care for the rest of their lives. Well, yes and no. Yes and no. We don't deserve payment or that kind of compensation just because we served. If we have service-related illnesses or injuries or we reach a certain threshold, I agree that's true. Yeah, I agree that's true. But no, just because you served, you shouldn't get free medical care. If you serve 2 years in the military, you shouldn't get free medical care the rest of your life. I don't agree with. I think it's probably a distinction there. It shouldn't be an issue, Pearl, but it is. Good evening, Anthea. What's up? Cannot imagine the scars haven't been in the military, especially USA, who are deployed all over the world in most ugly wars. Yeah, no, horrible wars. Afghanistan, Iraq, parts of Africa, other parts of the world, Philippines. Graham Rupert, thank you for becoming a subscriber. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, to 376 people here, if you're not a subscriber to The Truth Report, I ask you to go become a subscriber. And I say that because, well, in the interest of full disclosure, I am an anchor on The Truth Report, but that's not the reason why. The reason why I'm asking you to do it is that Rob Hersoff earlier today put the marker out there, the challenge that if The Truth Report receives 100,000 subscribers before the end of October, he'll pay half my airfare to come to South Africa. So I now have a dog in the fight. I have a dog in the fight. So let's go see. Several people said they've become subscribers. Let's go to The Truth Report. If one of the mods could put the link up again, The Truth Report. Okay, let's go to The Truth Report. So let's see. 96,300. Okay, so I don't know, I may have joined this morning, but we need 3,700. Of my 112,000 subscribers, I'm sure we can pull that off 3,700. All right. What is this? Donald Brown got to interview Helen Zilla and I haven't? Oh, now I'm getting a little bit irritated. Now I'm getting a little bit irritated. Why are our views not showing up? Oh, it's a playlist. That's why. Okay, that's why. Oh. Anyway, yeah. So, so folks, if you go over there and become a subscriber, that will help pay for my plane ticket. So that's cool. Next time I come over. Yeah, disabilities are not always visible. You're correct about that, Erica. There are scars that don't show. Okay, so I don't stay close to an airport. I'm sitting outside and a big airplane just flew over. Okay, Marissa, there's an airbase nearby. Okay. Getting some good expressive verbal words from Colonel without swearing, dipshit, composting. Imagine fighting for your country and getting hurt and then getting treated like that. Yeah, exactly. Well, the media are just disgusting. When a house burned down in our street, most neighbors went to steal what was left. Yeah, I saw what happened at the funeral. I didn't do a video on that, but I saw what happened because to me it was, people said they were stealing, looting. It wasn't looting. To me, they just, food looked like it was left over and like the hungry hippos were picking it up. Did you notice none of them were starving? People who are hungry don't weigh 160 kgs. They just don't. I'm saying. Yep. The biggest problem with South Africa's black matriculants is that 90% of them aspire to work white, own or white-founded business and don't want anything to do with black-owned businesses. Well, I don't know if that's the biggest problem, but that's probably certainly a challenge. 77-year-old torture with boiling water. Which one was this, Chris? Is this new? Gina Mullman, welcome to you. Okay. Great show with Rob today. Had a very bad day. I'm sorry. Thank you, Paul. We've talked about that already. What else we got here? Totally agree. Okay, I need to go get myself a new keyboard. Okay. And there's the one I requested earlier. SAP's intelligence department is a big concern. How do Mexicans get into South Africa without a passport? That's a good question. Often attributed to Albert Einstein means that true education is not just memorizing facts, but the enduring skills of understanding that remain. Yeah, no. You have to be able to interpret and critically think. That's what you have to have. You can't just memorize stuff. That's stupid. Literacy rate is 79% in the U.S. and will drop more in the next decade. Really? That can't be true. It only goes 1979. Does it go further? It only goes 1979. That's not helpful. Well, you're right. It says 79%. Seriously? Weren't we at 90% at one time? That's shocking. Is that... Wow. Well caught, Holden Caulfield. I had no idea it dropped to that level. That's shocking. On average, 79% of U.S. adults nationwide are illiterate in 2024. 21% of adults are illiterate. 54% of adults have a literacy rate below 6th grade. Wow. 34% of adults lacking literacy proficiency were born outside the United States. So 1/3 of the problem is immigrants. Massachusetts was the state with the highest rate of child literacy. See, the problem is you have a bunch of literate people around you, then you create problems for everyone else because the education standards have to be dumbed down and you just drag everyone else down. Well, thank you for that, Holden. I didn't know it was 79%. I said that can't be right, but you're right. That's something I hadn't looked at in a long time. 79%. Yes, they investigated Retief Odendahl and they came up with nothing because he's honest. And I think that Gary van Niekerk should be censured by the council for his comments. And he should deal with his criminal allegations instead of attacking innocent people. Yep, that's what should happen. All right, so that caught me up with the chat as far back as it goes. And Gavin Flanagan, thank you for your membership. Appreciate it. Okay, 77-year-old lady was attacked on a farm near... Okay, where did you read that at? Is that on Twitter? Is it on Marola Media? Where am I going to find that at? New Mexico is a state with the lowest child literacy rate. New Hampshire is a state with the highest percentage of adults considered literate. Okay. Well, what is it state by state literacy? Okay. By state. Let's try that. By state in the U.S., okay? All right. Mapping adult literacy rates. It's got very conflicting data here from a lot of different things. Let me see what we got here. Which states are the highest and lowest literacy rates? Well, that's useless. Excuse me. It says, what is this score? Average literacy score. So this isn't a rate. They have a score. So the score, highest average is Massachusetts, this says, with 225, not New Hampshire. New Hampshire's at 221. Pennsylvania's at 216. So is Maryland. State, check, here we go. This is by the Institute of Educational Services. Is it Sciences or Services? Sciences. Okay. All right. So, that chart doesn't mean, yeah, those are scores. Okay. I want literacy rates, not the score. Ugh. Where are the rates at here? There's all kinds of charts here that mean nothing to me. Useless. There you go. Highest and lowest. Okay, so where are they at? Okay, again, scores. And this one says Pennsylvania is 266, which puts us among the higher ones. Texas at 253. That's not what I'm looking for. Anyway, it's not important, but Holden is correct. Things are not looking good. Child Michael says he loves your videos. He says you must keep posting videos. Well, thank you, Nikitha. Is your child a child or an adult? That's an important question. And what do they like? I'm making virtual Western Cape yawn. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, yeah, I lived alone. That's scary. Saw it on Facebook. Willem Petzer talked about it. Okay. Somehow Willem Petzer has his ear to the ground for these assaults on farm attacks, which is awesome. He's becoming a source for these things. So awesome that somebody does it. Okay, thank you for sharing that, Krista. Yeah, where can I read that story? It's a good question. I think people want to know. Yeah, sorry to make you yawn there, Virtual Western Cape. Is it because I'm yawning? That could be why. That could be why. Let's try a little Twin Falls Delight to wake people up. Oh, yeah.
The sun wakes up in a golden sprawl over fields of wheat so proud, so tall. Morning whispers, rivers hum their tune. A land where hearts can bloom. The mountains stand like ancient friends, the kind of peace that never ends. Oh, Twin Falls Delight, where the skies shine bright, a rocky mountain high, starry night, friendly faces, open doors, a place to dream, a place that's yours. Main streets alive, laughter fills the air, dreams right on the breeze without a care. The Snake River dances under the light, a sight that takes your soul to flight. Here roots grow deep and spirits soar, a little heaven forevermore.
Oh,
Twin
Falls Delight, where the skies shine bright, a rocky mountain high, a starry night, friendly faces, open doors, a place to dream, a place that's yours.
Twin Falls Delight. That'll get people to stop yawning.
Oh, Twin
Falls Delight, where the skies shine bright, a rocky mountain high, a starry night, friendly faces, open doors, a place to dream, a place that's yours.
Twin Falls Delight. Now this one's in honor of Willem, Kara, and their family in Idaho. Twin Falls Delight. Well, that ought to lighten up the mood a little bit there. Yeah, John Denver, Rockman. Found my granddad's mouth harmonica. Wow, that's cool, Garrett. Laptop in kitchen while making dinner. Sound echoes. Cool. A world where people can't read or calculate. Well, we're headed that way, Holden, and thank you for alerting us to that. I mean, I will have to admit that that's something that I didn't have the bubble on. Wasn't really keeping track of the literacy rate in America. I had no idea we're down to 79%. 21% of adults are illiterate. 1/3 of them are immigrants. So still, you take 1/3 away from 20, that means 14% of adults are illiterate. That's not good. Not good at all. You like the hat? I want one of those black leather hats. I want a cowboy. I want to be the sheriff with a dark one. But those things are $500, man. $500. New York City. Is that where you get your picante sauce from? New York City? Saw a guy the other day saying he went to Europe and what a great country it was. There you go. There you go. Here's your side. Yeah, Stetson would look good on me, James Duvall, but it's expensive, man. At the rate revenue was coming into the channel earlier this year, I could have bought myself a Stetson eventually at some point when I recouped all the money I spent on this channel. But yeah, no. Oh, you like that one, Amanda? Yeah, that's a great song. My caterwaulering's not so great. I can't sing for beans, and we all know that, so I'm not going to pretend that I can. But, of course, here's one. Now, this one's inspired by the Sunnyside Prowler. Ladies and gentlemen, here you go. The person who hangs around Sunnyside. Oh, yeah.
They come to our shores with a suitcase dream, chasing the glow of that golden beam. From far off lands where shadows lie, here they find a brighter sky. Every step, every mile, they're reaching for the American style. The grass is greener in America, where freedom sings, where hearts run wild. The grass is greener in America, a shining city, a dream compiled, the place the world keeps reaching for. Feels real from the ground to the stars. We're built on dreams, we're raising bars. The grass is greener in America, where freedom sings, where hearts run wild. The grass is greener in America, a shining city, a dream compiled, the place the world keeps reaching for. Where hearts run wild, the grass is greener in America, a shining city, a dream compiled, the place the world keeps reaching for. The grass is greener in America, where freedom sings, where hearts run wild. The grass is greener in America, a shining city, a dream compiled, the place the world keeps reaching for.
The grass is greener. Yes, the song was inspired by a social media content creator in South Africa attacking me and attacking my country over spreading that person's propaganda. They took the tragic story of the Langton family and Jay developing cervical cancer and used it to create social media videos for attention, shamefully exploiting their cancer, saying, well, the grass isn't greener. And so I felt it was necessary to point out the grass is greener. Jay Langton should have been diagnosed with cervical cancer in South Africa if they had a credible healthcare system, if it didn't have a racist and incompetent system, both of which are true. It's incompetent and it's racist. So she would have gotten proper medical care and would have known about her cancer sooner. But her cancer is stage 2. It doesn't develop in 30 days or 60 days. Stage 2 cancer. So this occurred in South Africa. South Africa did not detect it. She came to America. She gets medical screening here, and she gets diagnosed with cancer. She's already been treated, having gone through, I've gotten updates from her. She's going through the chemo, and things are progressing well with the health care that's available in America. But someone in South Africa chose to take that tragic story and use it to promote their bile and also attack America. And they attacked me in the process too. So that came later. But I decided to make that song, The Grass is Greener, to point out that it is greener. Not perfect. Life isn't always perfect. If it was, we wouldn't have crime. We wouldn't have a surge of criminal alien invaders in this country. And the Democrats would not be in power anywhere if life were perfect. But there you have it. So, sometimes this all just comes up to quite a head, folks. And I wind up with voices in my head. Yes. Do you have voices in your head?
The voices whisper, soft as rain. Each one dances in my brain. Am I crazy or just free? Tell me now, what do you see? It's getting crowded in my head. Oh yeah, they laugh, they sing, they paint it red. Am I alright? You tell me please. But I feel fine, just swaying in the breeze. They chat at dawn, they hum at night. Their jokes give me a strange delight. Are they me or someone new? Questions bounce like a kangaroo. Oh, it's getting crowded in my head. Oh yeah, they laugh, they sing, they paint it red. Am I alright? You tell me please. But I feel fine, just swaying in the breeze. Trumpets play a golden sound. They echo deep, they spin around. Voices dance a reggae beat. In my head they find their seat.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Getting crowded in my head. Oh, yeah. They laugh, they sing, they paint it red. Why?
Am I alright?
You tell me, please. But I feel fine, just swaying in the breeze. It's getting crowded in my head, folks. It's getting crowded in my head. Yeah, indeed. Oh, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Pala Nights. Right here on DJ Silver Eagle. Money stuffed in my sofa, a treasure untold. Cyril's got a game ranch, stories untold. Pala Pala, ritzy joint, glimmer and gold. Stay overnight, don't you stray. Couch cushions hide a rainy day. Pala Pala, where the secrets play. Under the cushions, the cash will stay. Pala Pala, don't give it away. Rainy day, rainy day. Hey. Ja, na uns kann frei.
Antelope roam where the moonlight beams, luxury whispers and velvet dreams. Cyril laughs, but nothing's as it seems. Game of chance or clever scheme, hidden fortune stitched in the seam. You'll never know till you're caught in the stream.
Pala Pala, where the secrets play. Under the cushions, the cash will stay. Pala Pala, don't give it away.
Rainy day, rainy day.
Where the secrets play. Under the cushions, the cash will stay.
Pala Pala,
Don't give it away. Rainy day, rainy day. Hey, hey. Someone just asked a question which I need to address. The question is, Republicans control the House and the Senate. Can't they just vote on it? No. The Senate adopted years ago under the Democrats a filibuster rule, which means that you have to have 60 votes in order to pass legislation in the Senate. It seems anti-democratic, but that's the rule. Republicans are reticent to vote to change that. They need 60 votes to do it for starters, but they're reticent to change it because then it'll be used against them when they're in the minority. So you need 60 votes in the House and the Senate to pass anything. In the Senate, that's a rule they made up for themselves. That doesn't even seem legal, but that's what they do. The Senate rules. The House, you just need a simple majority. So it's crazy, but that's the reality. That's the reality. That's why it can't be passed by Republicans. There aren't 60 Republicans. If gerrymandering, illegal, the unconstitutional Voters Voting Rights Act of 1965, I think it was, if that did not create racist congressional districts that favor people because of their skin color, then Republicans would have 19 more seats and would have an outright slaughterhouse in the House of Representatives, and they would be in charge with 60 seats. If our system was based on how the Constitution was written. Under the Constitution, the senators were not selected by voters. They were selected by the state legislatures. So Pennsylvania would vote on who their two senators would be. Every state would do that. If we went simply by the state legislatures that are controlled by Republicans, which is 32 states, that means we would have 64 Republican senators. However, in the early part of the 20th century, they amended the Constitution to allow direct voting for senators, trusting the judgment of citizens. And so this is the problem we have now. Does that make sense? All right. That should explain it. If Canada becomes, no, Canada will not become a state. Nope. Not going to happen. Not happen. All right, so folks, you know, I know some of you want to come here and you have big plans and everything, but I'm telling you, stay off my lawn.
Stay off my lawn, it's not a campsite. No FEMA tents, no late night fights. No refugees, no wild parades. This castle's mine, no renegades. Hit the road, Jack, don't spin me tail. Your liberty's lost like rusty nails. Stay off my lawn, keep it moving, keep it gone. No flags, no biltong, no fires, no songs. Sorry, not sorry, stay off my lawn. Keep it moving, keep it gone. No flags, no biltong, no fires, no songs. Sorry, not sorry, stay off my lawn. Lawn, lawn, lawn. Sorry, not sorry, stay off my lawn. Lawn. Drying laundry on my hedge fence. Drawing crowds with your nonsense. This ain't a stage, it's my domain. Take your drama down the lane. Pitch your tent where the shadows fall. Not on my grass, not by my wall. No soapbox speeches, no rally calls. This yard's a fortress you can't install. Stay off my lawn, keep it moving, keep it gone. No flags, no biltong, no fires, no songs. Sorry, not sorry, stay off my lawn. Keep it moving, keep it gone. No flags, no biltong, no fires, no songs. Sorry, not sorry, stay off my lawn. My lawn, my lawn. Sorry, not sorry, stay off my lawn, my lawn.
No flags, no biltong. Take your drama down the lane. And you can't park in my driveway either. Nice try, Fabian. Stay off my lawn! Keep it moving, keep it gone. No flags, no biltong. No fires, no song. Sorry, not sorry, stay off my lawn. Are you listening?
Keep it moving, keep it gone. No flags, no biltong, no fires, no songs. Sorry, not sorry, stay off my lawn, my lawn, my lawn. Sorry, not sorry, off my lawn, my lawn. My lawn, my lawn. Sorry, not sorry, off my lawn, my lawn.
Stay off my lawn. Yeah, Hershey is, I don't know what you mean by centrally located. The corridor is New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, D.C. That's the corridor. I wouldn't live anywhere in between those places for the most part. Maryland's taxation, run by demon rat leftists who don't have the interest of Marylanders at heart. Too much development. Beautiful state, but just too much out of control. And Pennsylvania, eastern side of Pennsylvania, lots of challenges there. I would live more towards the central part of Pennsylvania. Here, it's not a direct line. You go from Washington to Baltimore to, like this. Okay, so DC's here, then Baltimore, then Philly, then New York is up here. I'm over here. So I have a straight line, shorter distance this way than that. And this area here, Adams County, Pennsylvania, York County, Pennsylvania, these are good places to get a place. And there's even less populated ones for slightly west. Anyway, let's wrap it up with one more, folks. One more for the 200. They've stuck it out this far. One more song, and then we're done here, okay? And I've got stuff to do. All right? I'm sure you do as well. So, you know this one. This is probably my favorite. Oh, yeah, the pot boils over.
The water's rising slow and hot. The frog's still dreaming in the pot. Steam whispers secrets to the air. Do you jump or do you heat won't stop. The lid shakes like it's gonna pop. The pot boils over, over again. Pressurizing, no way to pretend you can stay or leave. Take your shot. The pot boils over, like it or not. Cyril's cards fell just as planned. He dealt the aces, played his hand, but the crowd's awake, their voices loud. A restless wave, a roaring crowd. Tick tock, the time runs thin. Boiling point, it's sink or swim. The pot boils over, over again. Pressurizing, no way to pretend you can stay or leave. Take your shot. The pot boils over, like it or not. Pot boils over. Pot boils over, like it or not. Pot boils over, over again. Pressurizing, no way to pretend you can stay or leave. Take your shot. The pot boils over, like it or not. Pot boils over. 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 Pot boils over, like it or not.
The pot boils over. Cyril's analogy of the pot. The frog in the pot. Are you the frog in the pot, South Africa? You tell me. Pot boils over. All right, folks. Super chats I may have missed. Apologies for that. We had Quids. I saw that one. Thank you for me. Rhino Girl said CNN is spectacularly and surprisingly slammed Barack Obama, slamming him for refusing to acknowledge Trump in Gaza peace deal. Thank you for that. The 100 dinars, Rhino Girl. I missed that earlier. My apologies. Thank you. You're right. Yeah. Look, I think CNN is like Iqbal Survey and IOL. They're reading the tea leaves. And it's not looking good for the political left. So they're hedging their bets. Bitter Ender says, God bless you, Colonel. Have a safe week. Thank you. And then Nicola gave 199 Rand super chat. Stetson Kitty. Thank you so much. What is the one I missed? That's all the super chats. Somebody said I missed a donation. What donation did I miss? Can somebody please update me on that before you go anywhere? You're welcome, Chesigi. Rather quiet in the comments without a certain dog tonight. Well, that's the overnight. That's not now. Isn't usually here for this. I believe Clipper hurtling across the galaxy. What? Had a chat with a Pakistani today, and he said something that resonated with me so much. He said to always remember that the journey of a refugee is proof that courage doesn't need a map. Yeah, that's good. Good statement there. Yeah, Barack Hussein Obama. Nicola gave 100. Okay, towards the Stetson. Okay, got it. That's what. Okay, Francis. I thought I missed another one. I got that one. Thank you for that. Thank you so much, Nicola. I appreciate that. And thanks, everybody. Yeah, guys, I'm just 7 subscribers myself from reaching 113,000. That's been a long slog. I think the entire month I've been trying to get to another 1,000. So we're 7 away from that. That'd be cool. But anyway, so anybody who wants to help out, go subscribe to The Truth Report and help them get over. Let's see if they've gained any more. It was 3. What was it? 96, 300. Let's see if we got any further. Come on. 96, 400. We got about 100 more, so we still got a ways to go, but let's get people over there. So mods, share it with people in the groups. Ask them to go subscribe to the Cruise Report so that Rob Hersoff will be footing the bill for part of my plane trip. All right? You're welcome, Renell Lowe. Have a great day. And Karen, you're very welcome. Needed the music. Thank you. Yeah, I know, Ingrid. I need it too. I needed that, so I have to go back to a previous stream. I used my membership to ask a question. That I won't be able to find, Anne-Marie. I don't remember what your question was. I thought I answered your question at the time, and I may have been behind when you posted because I'm usually behind the chat. So my apologies, Anne-Marie. You can ask the question anytime. Oh, not right now. We're going to end, but yeah. So sorry about that. All right, guys. It is early afternoon here, and I've got some responsibilities to take care of. So take care. Tomorrow's a busy day. It's Wednesday, and then Friday I've got Thursday. I'm going to have a refugee on. Yeah, so we're going to have a refugee on Thursday at 4 p.m. South Africa time. We'll have to give them a pseudonym. They're going to talk about their experience coming to America. Another refugee. Oh, the link for the Truth Channel. Sure, I'll give you that. Just a second here. Here it is. Truth Report is here. Here's the link. All right, so please, yeah. You don't have to watch the content. Just go subscribe. But if you watch content, it's better. So we're trying to get it to 100,000 in the channel. So there you go. So that's the link to that. Please feel free to go over there and do that. All right, guys. In fact, let me post that pin at the top of this chat here, so it's there. All right. Thank you all so much. Have a good one. Thanks for being here, and really appreciate it. Yeah, that's going to do it. Wow. I'm in a better mood now that I played that Pot Boils Over. I love that song. That is such an awesome song. Cheers, everybody. Night, night.